chocolatier, a wine enthusiast, a water skier, a runner, and an educator. I am also a candidate for the Master's in Educational Technology and Online Teaching Certificate through Boise State University. I have a wonderfully supportive husband, two beautiful girls, and a faithful dog that have supported me along this journey. I think I've always been defined as tech savvy. I pick up computer programs quickly, I understand for the most part how they work, and I've been using technology consistently with my students since I've begun teaching. However, looking back after completing these master's program courses, I can see that what I've been doing was more motivational strategies and using technology to motivate my students to learn, which isn't in and of itself bad, but it wasn't using the pointed theories and research-based practices that support the use of technology. Rather, it was using technology to get students excited. And I think now, after completing this program, I'm more equipped to use the theory and the practices that I've learned in this program in order to further my students' education and understanding. 3 years ago, much of what I knew about educational technology was self-taught or based on my own instincts about what would be good for using with students. It is here that my ed tech expedition begins. My professional journey and my educational technology journey have been inextricably intertwined, and I'm excited to tell you how I have developed both professionally and as a student. From the moment I entered a classroom, I knew I needed more education. After 2 years of teaching, I discovered a statewide virtual school just starting in my area. As a science curriculum lead with our virtual school, I taught online synchronous sessions to middle school students for 3 years. I quickly adapted to teaching in Illuminate Live, now Blackboard Collaborate, and became a lead teacher, training our quickly growing staff on ways to engage students online and develop student-centered, not teacher-directed lessons. Much of what I knew was self-taught and based on my own instincts about what made a great online teacher, and so I sought out the Master's in Educational Technology program at Boise State University to help me develop my skills as an online teacher. I landed on the EdTech island full of excited anticipation and leaped enthusiastically into my online teaching courses. I was fully supported by my school in this journey, and so I chose my courses to provide opportunities to further not only me, but my team and my school. There have been several places along this expedition that stand out as exceptional points of growth. The first I'd like to share is my asynchronous lesson created in EdTech 521, online teaching in the K-12 environment. For this assignment, we had to create lessons for students to complete asynchronously. After all of my experience teaching online, I thought this assignment would be a breeze, and I was excited to showcase what I had been doing for the last 3 years of my life. I firmly believed that any lesson or activity taught in a brick-and-mortar classroom could be taught just as well virtually. However, I quickly learned this isn't the case. I wrote a lesson plan for an asynchronous lesson on acids and bases that I had taught online synchronously a few times before. It was one of my favorite lessons to teach because I could do experiments with the kids. They could hypothesize, and we could decide together what to test with our homemade pH tester, all without ever sitting together in person.
Okay, so I've got A's, B's, and C's for you. If you think it is an acid, give me an A for acid, a B for base, and a C for neutral. If you think it's an acid, give me an A, B for base, C for neutral. Lemon juice, what do you think? I want everybody's response in there. I am seeing almost all A's, so let's test it out and see. If it is an acid, it should be closer to the pinkish side. So I am going to add my indicator.
In the planning stages for the asynchronous version, I became so disappointed that the kids would never have the interaction we'd had in the past with this lesson that I found so valuable, that I decided to completely change the topic of the assignment to balancing equations. This lesson lent itself much better to the asynchronous format because, although student interaction was key, it was also possible to successfully engage students in practicing this concept without a live instructor. I still hold the belief that anything can be taught virtually, but this lesson made me realize that not everything can be taught well in any format. The instructional tools and strategies need to be carefully chosen to ensure students are engaged, learning, and held accountable for what they learn. Some lessons lend themselves well to asynchronous formats, so students can go back and review or complete it at their own pace, like the balancing equations lesson. And others can lose their effectiveness without the energy and interaction of a teacher. I realized it's okay to throw out the brick and mortar lesson plans and opt for something more suited to virtual learning. And it's this message that I send to my teachers in my school in every interaction and every professional development I have about teaching online. The next stage in my EdTech expedition was professional development. My improved abilities to engage and manage an online classroom did not go unnoticed, and after my first year in the EdTech program, I was promoted to my current position as a Title I administrator, where I could work directly with teachers and leadership staff to improve the teaching and learning at our school. This was an exciting step for me because it provided me a platform to engage our school's leadership and community in conversations about technology and professional development, incorporating so much of what I was learning in my EdTech classes. EdTech 554 was managing technology integration in schools, and it was an enormous support as a new administrator. I gained an understanding of school finance, planning outside of the classroom, and creating professional development for a range of learners and experiences. The opportunity to plan professional development for my school with peer and instructor support was the most valuable experience in the course, and provided a foundation for future EdTech assignments and professional developments planned for my school. I developed a series for our staff on formative assessments. This was quite an undertaking for a staff of over 400 teachers, all with different levels of understanding of the concept and technology alike. I created 3 tracks for teachers that addressed the various ability levels, and teachers could choose the track that best suited them based on the results of a quick self-assessment. The professional development was provided to our entire school, and I used it with my team of 6 intervention specialists. The feedback was positive, and I was able to drop into their classrooms and see some of the strategies taught in the training in action. After these amazing high points, where I was able to build on my strengths as a virtual instructor and learn new overarching concepts, I reached a treacherous peak when I got into the tech side of educational technology. I saw those courses, EdTech 502 and 506, that required the Adobe Creative Suite software when I decided to join the MET program. But I quickly pushed those out of my mind and focused on what I knew best, teaching online. However, there was no avoiding this precipice. I had to jump into the Dreamweaver and HTML code, creating the series of web pages that you see now. This was an incredible and indescribable experience, filled with intense highs and lows. I am a very linear person, and I enjoy structure and formulas, so I liked HTML from the start. Well, maybe not from the very start, but definitely by the second assignment, because it was black and white. It's right or wrong. You either have it or you have nothing. The real lows were those moments where I had nothing. Every time I sit back and reflect on my time in the EdTech program, the first place my mind travels is the tears shed after spending hours on a web page that would not pass HTML or CSS validation. But these always turned into tremendous moments of pride when I figured them out on my own, sometimes within even minutes of asking for help in a discussion forum. And it created an unforgettable learning experience. By the end of the semester, it was easier to create my own cascading style sheets in HTML than to use drag and drop web page creators, because I could create my vision faster on my own in Dreamweaver. This was something I was immensely proud of. The web quest created in EdTech 502, Internet for Educators, is one example of how I use this new knowledge along with pedagogy learned in my courses to create something I felt was needed to support my teachers. I am a huge proponent of web quests and virtual field trips, but it was hard to find examples of great ones for teachers to use with our students with simple online searches. The assignments created in EdTech 502 are now available for our teachers to use and also as examples of these instructional strategies. EdTech 506, Instructional Message Design, was another opportunity to fill an instructional void in our school. This course met with the same tears, followed with jumps of joy as I familiarized myself with Adobe Fireworks. The culminating project for this course was an instructional unit that incorporated graphics I created throughout the course. This came at a great time because I was getting ready to hand over our statewide virtual science fair to a new coordinator. I had been the sole coordinator for the past several years and keeper of all the information. So I used this project to create a website that could be provided to families and teachers, but also served as a resource to the new coordinator so that she would have all of the documents I provided to families, know what needs to be taught to students, and have the process for judging in the event all in one place. The trials and tribulations of fireworks paid off in the end, and this site has become the official source of information on our school's science fair. I don't think I can look back at the last 2.5 years as a graduate student and pinpoint one area of growth. It has affected every part of my life and made me a more confident and knowledgeable educator and leader. I'm just so much more efficient and more thoughtful in my planning. I know so much more about instructional design and message design and the research and the forethought that it takes to develop an amazing piece of instruction. I've applied systems theory not only to the way I design a lesson for students or trainings for teachers, but also in the way that I organize and structure my team. I conduct a mini needs assessment prior to team meetings or staff professional development so that I know that the instruction that I plan will be meaningful to my learners. I have a better understanding of how we learn, the theories that are developing, and how technology can play an important role in using both generative and supplantive strategies. Through the Master's in Educational Technology program at Boise State University, I have become a confident and a capable educator. And as I prepare to leave the safe confines of graduate school that has been so full of support and collaboration, I have never felt so prepared. And yet, just like my first day teaching in a classroom, I know that I have a world of knowledge awaiting me, and I will continue to be a lifelong learner.